Today, it is a brand new session with Billy Idol, who recently released both his autobiography, Dancing with Myself, and a new album, Kings and Queens of the Underground. Idol was a dominant figure in 80s music with his made-for-MTV sneer and his incredibly catchy, hard-hitting music, from songs like White Wedding and Dancing with Myself to Rebel Yell. Before going solo, he started in the UK with the band Generation X before moving to the US in 1981. We'll talk in a moment after this performance of the new song, Can't Break Me Down.
Shape of a chapel, you hit the knife in the core of an apple. Burns me, try to hurt me, try to get me when my back was turning. I saw you waiting where the shadows are growing. You're talking straight but your colors are showing. Burns me, try to hurt me, try to get me when my head was turning. You wanna rain on my survival story. You're crazy baby, cause I'm singing songs about a love and glory. Oh, 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 your gun went bang, bang, bang. You shot me to the ground, but you can't break me down. Bang, bang, bang. You try to knock me out, but no, you can't break me down. It's just my natural reaction when I hit the floor. I'm the original assassin. I come up for more. You put me up so you could watch me crumble. I always knew you were some kind of trouble. Lurking, you can't hurt me, cause I see just how your evil's working. A silver tongue with the best of intentions, but you're a child of the cruelest inventions. Lurking, you can't hurt me, cause I see just how your evil's working. You wanna rain on my survival story. You're crazy baby, cause I never had a doubt. I'm singing songs about a love and glory. Oh, 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 your gun went bang, bang, bang. You shot me to the ground, but you can't break me down. Bang, bang, bang. You try to knock me out, and no, you can't break me down. It's just my natural reaction when I hit the floor. I'm the original assassin. I come up for more.
There you go. That is Can't Break Me Down. That is from Billy Idol's new Kings and Queens of the Underground. Lots are happening in the Billy Idol world. The tour, the autobiography, let's be clear about that, and this new album, and we're getting a chance to talk with Billy today. That is my favorite on the album so far. I love that one. Great song.
Oh, great.
So all this activity all at once, and obviously you had to kind of rev up to all this. How long did it take you to put pen to paper, or however else you wrote Dancing with Myself?
The book, yes, the book Dancing with Myself. Well, it took quite a long time. I mean, about 6 years, actually. Although I'm I did it typing. I'm a very slow typer, so I'm sure 2 years of it was typing. But it did take a few years, and I thought it was worth taking time over it because I found, especially, I didn't keep diaries or anything like that. So for me personally, I had to use my own memory, and so I would sit there and marinate in a time period, of whatever time period it was, whether it was the Generation X punk rock time or whether it was the Rebel Yell MTV time, whatever time it was, I would sit there and marinate with it and let the thoughts come. And when I felt that I was very living in that kind of era again, whatever era I was writing about, then I'd commit myself to paper. And so it took a while, but I think it was worth it. I think there is something about taking time and making sure something's good, because I did read somewhere that David Bowie was telling Iggy Pop that you only get one real chance at an autobiography, and so I kind of knew that there was that sort of ethos behind doing one, you know.
Absolutely. It's funny when you read the book and you just see how incredibly quickly your life was in almost any one of those eras you just talked about, how fast you go from one thing to another. I was saying, how can he possibly get all this in there? I mean, plus, how can he sit down? He doesn't seem the kind of guy that stays still at all. So I am impressed.
Yeah, yes. Well, I guess life did move really fast for me, especially the punk rock era going into the 80s, moving to America and everything. The world was moving very fast. I was living at an accelerated pace, and that kind of made it fun to try and capture that in the book, you know.
There may be some people who don't realize that you spent some time in Long Island in the U.S. Early on in your life before moving back to England. Do you think that had an effect on how you viewed things either here or there?
Well, yes, I think I felt already in touch with American culture and things. It wasn't so foreign to me. A lot of English people coming to America, they'd have a massive culture shock. I mean, obviously, I still had a culture shock when I came to America in 1981 because I'm very English, really. But at the same time, yeah, just growing up in Long Island for 3 years, it put me in touch with America at a very early age. My first memories are American. My first accent I had was an American accent. So it wasn't so foreign for me when I did actually move to America in 1981. It wasn't such a scary thing. I think for some other people, because they're not so used to the culture, it could be a little bit more daunting.
The part of the book that is kind of really revelatory for me is the punk part, the part when you were in Chelsea and Generation X and at that time in London. It just seems incredibly exciting. Maybe tell people a little about the Roxy. The Roxy was the Generation X clubhouse? Yes,
we started it. Myself, Tony James, and there was actually our manager at the time, Andy Sosowski, and there was a friend of Tony James, Barry Jones. We kind of got together. We'd always had a bit of a dream that it was great for a group to have somewhere to hang out, somewhere they could call their own. And what had happened in London at that time, in 1977, there was an unofficial sort of ban against punk rock because there'd been some violence at some punk rock gigs. At a Sex Pistols concert at the Marquee, there was some violence. So some of these sort of major clubs in London had an unofficial ban, and then the town councils were very against punk rock. So it got to where there wasn't, actually for a second, there was nowhere to play in London, and so, we sort of always wanted our own kind of Max's Kansas City or our own Cavern Club or whatever you want to call it, and so to give ourselves somewhere to play, really, somewhere that we could play, and we started the Roxy in Covent Garden on Neal Street, and really went on to be a kind of bred punk rock groups because it gave the scene somewhere to marinate, somewhere to grow from, and it was gave us a place to rehearse, and it was one of the first places where that really was just a punk club. It wasn't running for anything else, you know. So it was very exciting those days.
Now, the opening night was it Susie and the Banshees and you guys?
Well, there was an unofficial opening, which was Susie and the Banshees and Generation X. And then a month, 3 or so weeks later, this was in early December 76. And then on New Year's Eve, we officially opened it New Year's Eve with The Clash and the Heartbreakers and Generation X playing.
Wow.
So it was very exciting. And the Clash were really sort of, you know, it was the early days, but they were, you know, they had their first album out, I think, by that time. And, you know, it was a magic night. There was just everybody, the sort of Illuminati, the glitterati of punk rock were all there. Johnny Rotten was there, Malcolm McLaren, the Clash were there, the Heartbreakers, everybody. It was this kind of big night.
Could you talk a little bit about the transition from Generation X into doing your own thing and how that came about and how you felt about it at the time?
Well, yeah, unfortunately, Generation X disintegrated, really. That's what kind of happened. Actually, all good punk rock groups disintegrate, really. That's what it's all about, really. You play till you disintegrate. But, yeah, eventually Generation X disintegrated, and it really left me kind of going, well, I really don't have any other choice but to carry on as Billy Idol, really. And I was very into the idea of the song Dancing With Myself, the idea behind that, the musical idea behind it, this kind of where we kind of taken the energy of punk but kind of harnessed it and flattened it out, flattened the groove out, took out the sort of roller coaster nature of Generation X music, had a bit more of a roller coaster Keith Moon type drumming, and put much more of a straight beat to the music. And Dancing With Myself was kind of the first formula of that, and then I went on to write things like White Wedding and Rebel Yell in my solo career, and it was just really, it was an exciting time, but it was also a scary time because, you know, changing countries and coming to a country, America. I knew they loved rock and roll music, but I didn't know if they were going to like what I did, and a lot of punk rock groups had come to America, and the Sex Pistols had come to America and actually broken up in America, so it wasn't a sure thing if you came to America and played. So it was a big gamble coming to America, but at the same time it was so exciting going to New York in 1981 and sort of, you know, being able to latch on to the sort of punk rock scene that was going on there, which I was a well-known commodity in that, and I knew I might find some like-minded people, and I did. I found Steve Stevens in New York, and we went on from there.
Yeah, you sure did. You know, it's interesting because you had the sneer. You looked punk. You had, of course, Steve Stevens. You had nasty guitars. But, you know, at the same time, you had a pretty big kick drum on all that music. And I can remember playing a lot of Billy Idol in clubs back in the day. Were you secretly making dance music?
Well, I hung out in a lot of discos or, you know, dance clubs. That's kind of where... it's just what started to happen. A lot of the music, you know, the post-punk music was kind of, you know, we were finding out when I got to America, I found out a lot of it was in this kind of, there was this kind of New York dance chart, an underground dance chart, and a lot of kind of post-punk music by, say, Joy Division or the Simple Minds or Billy Idol was ending up in this dance chart. And So really, we were all very aware of we were always hanging out in clubs for starters. That was half of what we were doing, and so it was good fun to kind of mix in dance music in with the kind of Strum and Drang of punk rock, you know, and kind of put the two things together, and you got a hybrid of something else, something that went beyond punk rock for me, and that's kind of what I latched on to, and I worked that through the 80s, really, and that was really a lot to do with what I was into in the 80s, was making music that could work in a club, but could also work in an arena as well, you know.
Absolutely. Billy Idol, our guest, and we're hearing some acoustic versions of songs, sort of acoustic, we'll put it that way. And could you do Eyes Without a Face? A great one.
out of hope. One more bad break and I might fall. When I'm far from home, don't call me on the phone, tell me you're alone. You see, it's so easy to deceive, easy to tease, but hard to get release. Eyes without a face, eyes without a face, eyes without a face. They've got no human grace. Your eyes without a face. I spend all my time believing all the lies to keep our dreams alive. Yes, it makes me sad. Should make you mad, the truth, for loving what was you. Eyes without a face, eyes without a face, eyes without a face. They've got no human grace. Your eyes without a face. Hear the music, you make a dip into someone else's pocket and then make a slip. You steal a car and go to Las Vegas, the gigolo pool, hanging out by the state line, turning holy water into wine. Did you drink it down? I'm on this bus on a psychedelic trip. I'm reading murder books and I stay hip, but now I think of you and you're out there, so say your prayers. I close my eyes. Yes, I wonder why I don't despise. Now all I can do is love what was once so alive in you, but it's gone from your eyes. I should have realized. Eyes without a face, eyes without a face, eyes without a face. They've got no human grace. Your eyes without a face are just some human waste. Your eyes without a face.
Live from the World Cafe today, Eyes Without a Face. Performance from Billy Idol, our guest. More live classics and conversation as our brand new 80s Week session with Billy Idol continues in a moment on the World Cafe. 80s Week on the World Cafe continues with more from Billy Idol, who has recently released his autobiography, Dancing with Myself, and a new album, Kings and Queens of the Underground. The book opens, Billy, with you in a motorcycle accident that was really catastrophic. And when you get further into the book and you read about that period, I mean, yes, it was a very difficult time, but it didn't really slow down your lifestyle too much afterwards.
No, but it was a sort of beginning of me kind of, waking up and realizing that the kind of accelerated life I was living, which was partly fueled by a cocktail of drugs, was,
right.
The honeymoon period was kind of over, really. That's what the motorcycle accident was kind of telling me. It just took me a long time to then, kind of try and get the discipline to get away from drugs, which it's very easy to get hooked to drugs. It's very hard to get off them. Not much fun as well. But the motorcycle accident was a big wake-up call, really, and it kind of showed me, it showed me the reality of life, really, and it was just a bit of a wake-up call, and so it was very much why I started the book with the motorcycle accident, because it was kind of in the middle of my career and my life as well, and it was a great midpoint, and also it was a kind of a cathartic point, a point where I did sort of, after that time period, gradually start sort of altering my lifestyle a bit, so that I would be here today singing these songs and enjoying myself,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And your father passed away. Was that within the last couple of years?
Yeah, this summer, unfortunately, yes. Yes, it's very sad. I didn't really have an ending to my book, and I didn't really ever think that his death would kind of give me the ending to my book. So it's kind of a sad thing, but at the same time, he was a great guy, and a lot of the reasons I'm like I am is really because of the way he was, if you see what I mean. So
really, what was he like?
Well, he's a tough. When he was younger, he was tougher. He was very tough with me at times. I'm a very happy-go-lucky person, and but he could be really tough. But of course, he cooled out as he got older. But we had a fractious relationship in my teens, and because I had very long hair at one point, he couldn't stand that, and I didn't seem to be trying at school, but it was really just probably would have been diagnosed ADD today, and it's just a thing. If I like a subject, I can do it. If I don't like it, I can't do it. My dad just couldn't understand that. He was a mathematician, so he couldn't understand that I couldn't do mathematics. So you can imagine, I've been torturing him. So how could he have a dunce for a son, he would have been thinking. But and then, of course, when I went into music, he couldn't understand that either. So that, we were at loggerheads for a long time. But that's a long time ago, and I think at the end of the book, I was able to show people that we'd very much loved each other, and part of the fractious relationship we'd had was only because we were quite radically different people, and it was hard for him to they came from the world of the Depression, of the Second World War, of Reconstruction after the Second World War, and rationing in England didn't end till 1959, so it didn't give people a lot of hope. They didn't have they couldn't imagine, throwing all fear aside and just doing what you loved. They couldn't imagine that. They'd really had to tough it out, and because they toughed it out, they gave us the sort of the liberty, the chance to do whatever we loved. So, I really sort of love them for that, and I really sort of. That was our true relationship, if you see what I mean. Our true relationship is that we really loved each other. It was just we were at different times and driven by different things,
Right. Well, the late 70s and the early 80s were certainly not the Great Depression, but that was another time when punk came up. When it was times were not great in England at that time too.
No, there was. That's right. I mean, there was actually an economic depression in America actually in the mid 70s. But of course, if there's one in America, it's 100 times worse in England. And England was really falling apart. I mean, there was so much fractious, interplay between the unions and the government, and it was almost like the country was just falling apart. And it really did. It said to us, "There's no future." That's what they were kind of telling us. There's no real future for you, because you couldn't get a job in those days, whether you were a garbage collector or a college grad. It didn't really matter. There were no jobs, and so this kind of said to us, well, if there is no future, well, why not do the thing you loved? And that's kind of what we did. We did music. Some people picked up a camera and started becoming a photographer. Some other people wrote about the scene and created fanzines, and so in their own way started to, become a journalist. So it was like that's what we were left with, in the sort of a void and in the sort of vacuum of nothingness. We pulled on art as the thing that we loved, and it gave us, in the end, it gave some of us a future.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Billy Idol is our guest, and here's another live track recorded for the World Cafe. This is Sweet 16.
Gave my heart an engagement ring. She left everything I gave her. Oh, sweet 16. Like a moon for a rocking chair. I never guessed it could rock her far from here. Oh, 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 oh. Someone's built a candy castle for my sweet 16. Someone's built a candy house and housed her in. Someone's built a candy castle for my sweet 16. Someone's taken my candy girl and drew her in. Said I'd do anything for my sweet 16. Said I'd do anything for that runaway child. See, a memory can burn you. A memory gets cold as people can. They just get older. Cried sweet 16. No, I see it's clear, my baby, that you are all through here. Oh, 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 oh. Someone's built a candy castle for my sweet 16. Someone's taken my candy girl and drew her in. Someone's built a candy castle for my sweet 16. Someone's taken my candy girl and drew her in. Said I'd do anything for my sweet 16. Said I'd do anything for that runaway child. And I say, sad and lonely and blue, getting over you. Do you think it feels so good to get up in the morning, work over you? To get up in the morning, work. I had to get up in the morning and work over. I got my leg over. Sweet 16, my runaway child. Oh, sweet 16, my runaway girl. Gave my heart an engagement ring, and she took everything I gave her. Sweet 16. Like a moon for a rocking chair. I never guessed it could rock her far from here. Someone's built a candy castle for my sweet 16. Someone's taken my candy girl and drew her in. Someone's built a candy castle for my sweet 16. Someone's taken my candy girl dream. Should I do anything for my sweet 16? Should I do anything for that runaway child? Do anything, oh sweet 16. Oh, sweet 16, I'd do anything. Oh, sweet 16, I love my sweet 16. Ooh, sweet 16.
Sweet 16, another great Billy Idol tune. And Billy, for people that don't know, what is the story about that? If people saw the video, they probably got an idea.
Yeah, actually, it was. I read this book once about this place, the Coral Castle. It was about this chap called Ed from Latvia, and he'd been horribly jilted and left at the altar by his sweetheart. And he had some sort of physical problem as well, but he came to America and went down to Homestead in Florida, and as he started to build this gigantic place made out of huge slabs of granite. I mean, it's quite romantic. There's a big moon for a rocking chair that it's a half moon that you can sit in and it can rock. And then there's a 1-ton slab that revolves on its own axis, and you can push it with one finger, and it kind of acts as a doorway into this kind of granite castle this chap made. And there's lots of urban myths about how he constructed it, because he seemed to be virtually building it on his own, and no one could understand how a man who was only 100 pounds in weight could be lifting these huge slabs of granite around. So there's this kind of urban myth about it, but at the same time he used to take people on guided tours around what he called the Coral Castle. And at one point, you'd say to him, well, why did you build this? Ed, what the hell did you build this for? And he'd say, it's for my sweet 16. And so it was his memorial, and to a lost something that hadn't quite come to fruition. And it just spoke a lot to me. I had a relationship that was falling apart at the same time. So I could sing about myself using his story, Mm-hmm.
And you called it the Candy Castle. So.
Yes, yeah. Maybe a bit of a drug castle was the love affair I was in, but yeah.
So do you call yourself sober now?
I'm not really sober. I'm just not going crazy. Hopefully I've got myself on a bit of an even keel, and I'm not going too crazy, so it's not like I'm not telling myself I can't do anything or anything like that. It's just, I'm just trying to be cool, really. I mean, trying to enjoy this stage of my life, and I am really, because it's pretty exciting to have a new record out at this stage in your career, and enjoying it and liking the music you're doing and enjoying gigging and things. It's pretty wild to think you can still enjoy doing the job you loved right now. It's great.
Yeah, there was that period where it was about 6 years or so where you didn't do any of that, and obviously gradually you've gotten back into it. But was that tough? Because a lot of your identity was, the Billy Idol we see on stage and on TV.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, being on MTV, the whole country knew who you were, and it meant that even people who didn't like your music or didn't really care about music would know what you looked like. So I was very recognizable. It was almost over the top, it was ridiculously over the top. because the whole world knew what you looked like, you know, even if they didn't care about your music, you know. And so I can see what a lot of people must put up with who are like, you know, who are on, say, situation comedies or something. I mean, they're so well known for what they look like that it must drive you, you know, it takes a lot of your sort of, you know, privacy and stuff away. And of course, part of being a songwriter is that you're an observer. You know, some of it's about what you personally are doing, but a lot of it's you're observing other people, and once that's taken away from you by your privacy being taken away, it can affect your artistry really, because you're no longer just sort of observing life. You know, you're in this kind of hurricane, typhoon, crazy world where at any moment you can be surrounded by a million people screaming at you, you know, going mad.
I was looking at a bunch of pictures, and you've got the sneer on almost all the time. Did you ever get tired of like maintaining the Billy Idol image?
No, it was a lot of fun, really. I mean, it was a lot of fun, really. It is a lot of fun. A lot of it's very natural to me, too. It wasn't putting on something or anything. It's just an extension of my personality. My stage act is just the extrovert me, really. So that's what you were seeing. And it was fun, too. We were having a lot of fun with it. And thank God that's what music and rock and roll music is all about. It's about having a lot of fun at the same time as maybe saying what you really think about things.
Absolutely. You know, I'd like to sort of finish up talking a little bit about the music, because getting ready for this, you know, listening to a bunch of your stuff, listening to White Wedding, listening to Flesh for Fantasy, and of course Dancing with Myself and everything, I just realized how fabulous you were, or your team, or however you want to describe it, was at creating huge hit songs. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Rebel Yell, because it is a song with, if you look at it, at least two huge hooks. The more part, the Rebel Yell part. How did these things get put together?
God knows, you know, I think it's just from years of listening to rock music, and because, you know, really in Bebop Ilula, he screams more, you know, she wants more, she gives me more, and there's, you know, if you think about it, it's a rock and roll thing, you know, so a lot of it is like drawing the things you love together and then recreating them.
Billy Idol, our guest, and here's an acoustic version of the song we've been talking about, Rebel Yell.
Last night a little dancer, she came dancing to my door. Last night the little angel, she came pumping on my floor. She said, come on baby, you got a license for love, and if it expires, I pray hell from above, because in the midnight hour she come on, with the rebel yell, she come on, in the midnight hour she come on, with the rebel yell, she come on, She don't like slavery, she won't sit and beg, but when I'm tired and lonely, she sees me to bed. I said, what set you free and brought you to me, babe? What set us free and leave you here by me? In the midnight hour, she come on, with the rebel yell, she come on. In the midnight hour, with the rebel yell, she come on. He lives in his own handler, makes it to go at the 7-Eleven. Baby, out all night to collect your fare. Just so long, it don't fizz up my hair. For you, babe, 8,000 miles for you. Now who'll dry my tears of pain, babe? I said 1,000,000 times for you, for you, for you, for you. See, I'd sell my soul for you, babe. 'Twas for money to burn for you. For you, not give you all and have none, babe. Just to have you here by me. Because in the midnight hour, more, with the rebel yell, she got more. In the midnight hour, more. With the rebel yell, more. Ooh yeah, my little dancer, she needs more. More. Ooh yeah, my little angel, she needs more.
Rebel Yell finishing up our session with Billy Idol today. He's got a really nice new album called Kings and Queens of the Underground with that title track, which is kind of the story of Billy Idol. And, of course, you can read about it in Dancing with Myself, the new autobiography. Billy, thanks so much for talking with us.
Oh, thank you very much indeed.
Billy Idol, our guest, and we shall return in a moment here on the World Cafe.